who was hit in the head, right hip, chest and buttocks, was transported to hospital by private motor vehicle. Investigations are ongoing. Well, Barbadians can expect some major road repairs in short order. This was the assurance of Minister of Transport, Works and Maintenance, Dr. William Duguid. Speaking at a media briefing at government headquarters, Dr. Duguid says government recognizes there are a significant number of roads that need attention, and he believes that next week Cabinet will give its approval to an IDB road repair program.
A lot of it will be work on the ABC highway, particularly the westbound side of the ABC highway. A big part of it is that, which is the part from the Norman Niles roundabout to Warrens. So that whole stretch. And the contractor has given me his assurance that they will be working night and day to get that project completed and as quickly as possible, together with all the traffic management that is required and all the infrastructure.
The new leadership of the Barbados Union of Teachers is being called on to speak up on matters of importance to teachers. Immediate past President Pedro Shepherd says their silence is deafening. According to Mr. Shepherd, members have reached out to him with their concerns, and he's telling the new BUT leadership that matters before the ministry and those affecting teachers should not be left unattended.
We have had outstanding issues at St. Lawrence Primary with sewage and stench. I am told that it had gotten worse than ever 2 weeks ago. And again, not a word from the administration at Mary Hill. St. Mark's Primary with environmental and health issues, not a word, not a follow-up. Presently, the teachers at Erdison Special School are crying out for their union to intervene urgently in several matters there.
As Canada celebrates its 150th year as a federation, Barbados has pledged to continue working closely with the country on areas like tourism and business. These, according to Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, Sandra Husbands, are among the areas where the two countries have most successfully collaborated in the past. Minister Husbands was speaking at the recent Canada Day celebration. The Canadian High Commission here in Barbados mounted a big celebration to mark the significant milestone. The North American country was one of the first with which Barbados established diplomatic ties when it became independent in 1966. And over the years since then, Minister Husbands says the relationship has strengthened to the point where Canada has become a major source market for Barbados in both tourism and international business. In tourism, for instance, she says last year was excellent.
In 2017, long-stay arrivals from Canada rose by 12.4%. So there's something that we're doing right, and we intend to continue doing so, that we can attract more of our Canadian friends.
Ms. Husbands says Canada has also contributed significantly to the technical assistance that helped improve the skills of public servants.
During the period 2010 to 2018, the Canadian Caribbean Leadership Program has trained 24 Barbadian senior public servants. The Barbados Defence Force has also benefited from training facilitated by Canada's Department of National Defence.
And regarding the lucrative international business sector, the minister has pledged that Barbados will continue to follow the rules of best practice set out by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, as well as the Financial Action Task Force. In the meantime, High Commissioner Legault says the occasion was special because it was the first time an event was being held at Maple Drive, the embassy's new residence. She says the relationship with Barbados is reciprocal and there's scope for more to be done.
We have engaged early with the government on the South Coast sewage situation. Also, the pledge made by the government to transition Barbados to 100% renewable energy by 2030, which is great, to provide incentives for the ownership of alternative energy vehicles, and to undertake extensive restoration of coral reef are all measures that were very closely aligned with our priorities. The creation of a Ministry of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology will present also an opportunities to exchange as we have created the similar ministry in 2015.
Madame Legault launched a new publication, Maple Leaves and Caribbean Seas, which traces the joint history of Canada and the Caribbean and is also in tribute to Canada's 150th anniversary. Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson was among several prominent people honoured for their work with the Canadian government over the years. It's time for a break now, but when we come back, more news. Stay with us. Well, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley is among the 15 CARICOM leaders in Jamaica for the 39th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government. Ms. Motley joined her colleague heads of government on the podium just after 6 o'clock Barbados time before delivering her maiden address to the conference. The Barbados leader has lead responsibility for the CSME in the Quasi-CARICOM cabinet, and at the Montego Bay meeting, a special session has been devoted tomorrow to examine how to carry forward the single market and economy. In her address, Prime Minister Motley brought a simple but forceful message of solidarity and unity for Caribbean people.
While Barbados must of necessity look inward to fix what is broken, to restore hope and to heal a nation, my government will not ever stop looking out from within our shores. For Barbados, our Caribbean identity is intrinsic to our values, our culture, and our way of life. Our people in the region share a common history, and I remain convinced that our strength, our survival, and our success lie in being able to mount together against the challenges that we face across the region. As I've said on many occasions, including in this country, we are always better walking together than walking alone.
And Prime Minister Motley also encouraged her fellow CARICOM leaders to see themselves as facilitators and shepherds and not control or stifle the natural inclination of Caribbean people to come together.
What is most needed, I'm convinced, is for us to give our people the scope to express their natural inclination of togetherness and inclusion in ways that are productive and beneficial to the region as a whole. Our people should not have to jump through hoops to make this happen. What is needed is for us to foster the genuine buy-in of our people, especially our young people, as we heard Ambassador Larocque speak to in his address. To do so, we have first to recognize that in 2018, we have a constituency of integrationists by intuition and belief, a generation of educated, worldly wise, confident Caribbean citizens who learn, live, and love together, trade, work, and play together, share in each other's joys and cry at each other's tragedies. No boundaries exist in the minds of our young people. They are happy to see themselves as global citizens anchored by a Caribbean civilization.
Well, prior to the meeting, Secretary General Ambassador Erwin Larocque hosted an interactive session with Caribbean youth. The main topic of discussion was the CSME, the role of youth in advancing the single market. Ambassador Larocque told the forum Caribbean leaders are committed to integration despite differing views.
There's not one head of government that sits in the councils that I have the great honor of sitting in and listening to the debates. There's not one head of government that is not committed to integration. There's not one. There will be different views on, as I said, what can be achieved now, what can be achieved later, how fast you can go, how slow you can go. There are different views. And that's what we're different people and different circumstances at the national level inform how we speak. So I'm not daunted by it.
St. George Secondary School maintained its dominance of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security's Grow Well, Eat Well, Live Well competition. The school captured the container gardening, open field gardening and cultivation under protected structures category. Representatives of St. George Secondary were on hand to collect the prizes, including a $1,000 gift certificate and a trophy. It was all during an awards ceremony at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center. Other schools in Winners Row included Elliott Belgrave Primary and Hillaby Turners Hall Primary. The Challoner School for the Creative Arts also placed second in the picture board category. Senior teacher at St. George Secondary, Ellison Adams, credits their win to a hands-on and team approach. He says the school doesn't intend to give up their reins soon.
My concern for the future of agriculture in Barbados was somewhat abated when on the first day of the school class of the school year, one of my students asked me, "Sir, are we going to do the Grow Well competition again this year?" I answered in the affirmative. He responded, "I want to win again." I smiled broadly, for those words were music to my ears. There is nothing I like better than winning. But what was more important is that I had someone who was interested in producing food and carry on the mantle.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Janet Phillips, says the competition, which is now in its third year, has helped to stimulate interest in agriculture and develop life skills.
Boys and girls, the skills that you have learned will become even more essential to your lives as you undertake further studies at colleges and universities. I know, having passed through the college system, that you have to work a lot in teams. So if you build up the capacity to do so, it makes it easier when you go to BCC, SAPI, or when you go to our university or even further afield. And it will also help you in the world of work.
Well, it's that time of year again. It's graduation season, and another happy bunch of students took that final walk as they said goodbye to many old friends and made way for new ones. Shane Jones reports on the graduation ceremony of the George Lamming Primary School.
The ceremony began with a procession of George Lamming's very happy graduates, as family members in the crowd made sure to get all their photos. Speaker of the House of Assembly, Arthur Holder, was one of the many in the crowd treated to a sweetly rendered graduation song. Students beamed as they came up one by one to receive their prizes, ranging from excellent work in the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination to punctuality. In her feature address, President of Christian Mission Inside Out Barbados, Vicky Olton, shared 7 values with the students that she believes form a blueprint to success.
Always remember that you were created by God and placed on this earth for a great purpose. Number 2, make prayer a habit and ask God for his wisdom. Number 3, put all your trust and all your confidence in God, because he is the one who will hold your hand as the journey continues. Number 4, embrace the ups and the downs. Number 5, see yourself through the eyes of God and not by what negative people may say about you. Number 6, allow Jesus Christ to be your best friend. And number 7, last but certainly not least, fear the Lord and turn away from evil.
Principal Rosalind Goodrich says while there has been some improvement in the school's performance in the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination, the results are still not what is desired. She had a message for the teachers.
Today, I urge you as teachers to continue to be totally committed and dedicated. Continue to strive for excellence and never settle for mediocrity. Continue to make your pupils aware that you always have high expectations of them.
Mrs. Goodrich told the graduating students that she was proud of them, leaving them with sound words of advice.
This journey is fraught with hurdles that take courage, persistence, and enthusiasm. You must not give up. The benefits will be amazing. As you continue on your journey, learn from correction and criticism. Though difficult to hear and challenging to change direction, correction and criticism, they will force you to be flexible and teach you to understand perspective. They humble you. They enable you to grow and to achieve.
Carl Daisley was the top boy and Genesis Paris the top girl. Shane Jones, CBC News.
Thanks, Shane. Time for another break, but when we come back, we'll check in with our regional neighbours.
In Guyana, the search continues for the men who opened fire on police after they uncovered a marijuana farm over the weekend. One man was taken into custody during the operation.
Police acting on intelligence at Underneming Sandpit Backlands on the Essequibo coast say they uprooted and destroyed more than 12,000 marijuana plants, over 500 pounds of marijuana, seized 2 12-gauge cartridges and 5.38 spent shells, along with 2 live cartridges, which were all found in the marijuana camp at Underneming over the weekend. Commander of the Police G Division Superintendent Kali Pashram said his ranks were fired upon when they entered the marijuana camp.
It was an intelligence-led operation. Ranks were on foot patrol in the Underneming Backlands. That's about 10 miles off the main public road, when they observed a camp with a group of men. On approaching the camp, they were fired upon. They took the evasive action. The men, on firing upon the police, fled into the nearby bushes. They were pursued diligently by the ranks. One was captured, while the other made good their escape.
Sources said police became aware of the farm early last week and had set up an operation to capture those responsible. Commander Pashram hinted that the camp must have been there for some time now.
On returning to the camp, the ranks discovered a quantity of dried cannabis. There was also another camp close by, which also had a quantity of dried cannabis, amounting to close to about 25 kilograms. The camps also had sleeping hammocks, accommodation for that, kitchen utensils, groceries, and so the area surrounding those 2 camps, close to 8 quarters of marijuana plants, ranging between 6 inches to 7 feet in height, with an estimated weight of approximately 58,000 kilograms.
This man, Danish Singh, who worked on the farm, was taken into police custody. He attempted to flee the camp upon seeing the police. He is said to be cooperating with the investigation.
They were all destroyed, and that one man that was, or the male that was previously arrested, he remained in custody. Investigation is still ongoing. Search is still ongoing for the remainder that fled the area.
Over in Jamaica now, angry residents of a St. Andrew community returned to the streets to protest against the fatal shooting of a 26-year-old man by police. Shortly after the shooting on Monday night, residents mounted a fiery roadblock, as we hear in this TVJ report.
Monday night, fire and debris on Old Hope Road, just meters from the United States Embassy in Ligonier, St. Andrew. Residents vented their anger and despair as one of their community members was shot dead by the police. That was cleared shortly after, but Tuesday morning, residents remounted the roadblock at the same location shortly before 7 o'clock, again disrupting traffic. They used their bodies and this old bus. When TVJ News arrived at the scene, the police had restored some level of order. The residents claimed that Mr. Williams had just driven up on a motorcycle when he was confronted by a police team. They say he was shot despite denying that he had a gun. TVJ News spoke with Mr. Williams' mother. She claimed that one of the cops admitted that her son was killed in error.
Then come, him not have no shirt, him all have pants, him all have underpants, and then come, and they say, boy, where they gone there? Him all up here and they say, officer, me not have nothing. And when them don't shoot him, they say, they say, he's a Rasta man, him a look for. After them don't kill him, you know what they do? They left him, and my brother-in-law carry them to University Hospital. You know what I'm do? You know what I'm do? They handcuff a man, and the way how they do it, they run left the man and handcuff same way, and the man gone about him busy with the handcuff.
However, when TVJ News contacted head of the Constabulary Communications Unit, CCU, Delia Garrick, the police had a different account of the incident.
About 8:30 last night, the police had a confrontation, reportedly with two men on a motorcycle, one of whom reportedly pulled a firearm at the police, and he was fatally shot.
My first pitney, and one boy pitney me have, and it nah go so, it nah go so, it nah go so.
Mr. Williams' mother says she does not buy that account from the police and promises that further action will be taken to achieve justice for her son.
Across the Caribbean, brought to you by CIBC First Caribbean.
Straight ahead is the sports news, but before we get to that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Before the arrival of a hurricane, ensure that you have the contact numbers and addresses of your service providers. Example, carpenters, masons, electricians, and plumbers. Cooperators General Insurance, helping you to be prepared this hurricane season.